The bold and the beautiful. Hope's a revenge target. Sheila blames Deacon's daughter for playing Cupid. The ocean breeze curled gently through the open doors of the Forrester living room, carrying with it the scent of salt and jasmine. Sunlight spilled across the polished floors, warm and deceptively peaceful. From the outside, everything looked serene, another flawless Los Angeles morning. But beneath the beauty and the couture, a storm was building. And at the center of it stood Hope Logan, unaware that she had just become the focus of Sheila Carter's simmering rage. Hope adjusted the strap of her bag on her shoulder and glanced back at the doorway. She hesitated, that familiar flutter of uncertainty tugging at her chest. Ever since Deacon and Sheila's ill-fated reunion and subsequent implosion, Hope had been walking a careful line between loyalty to her father and fear of the woman who had nearly torn their lives apart. Sheila Carter. The name alone still sent chills down Hope's spine. Across town, in a dimly lit apartment far removed from the elegance of the Forrester estate, Sheila stared at her reflection in a cracked mirror. Her lips curved into a slow, dangerous smile. The world had always underestimated her, dismissed her as a villain, a madwoman, a monster. But Sheila knew the truth. She was a survivor, a fighter, and she never forgot a betrayal. And in her mind, the greatest betrayal of all had a name. Hope Logan. Sheila had believed in Deacon Sharp. Against her better judgment. Against the warnings. Against decades of experience telling her that trust was a weakness. Deacon had made her feel seen, chosen, loved. He had spoken of redemption, of second chances, of building something real. And for a brief, intoxicating moment, Sheila had believed him. But then Hope got involved. That was how Sheila saw it. Anyway, she paced the small apartment, memories replaying in her mind like a twisted film reel. Hope's worried eyes. Hope's trembling voice as she pleaded with Deacon to do the right thing. Hope positioning herself as the moral compass, the dutiful daughter, the saintly savior. She played Cupid, Sheila muttered aloud, her fingers curling into fists. And she shot my heart straight through. In Sheila's version of events, Hope had orchestrated it all, manipulating Deacon with guilt, weaponizing her innocence to push him away from Sheila and back into the Logan-approved fold. Brooke, Ridge, the Forresters, the same people who had always slammed doors in Sheila's face. Hope wasn't just Deacon's daughter. She was the symbol of everything Sheila could never have. Hope sat at her desk at Forrester Creations, staring blankly at sketches she'd already reviewed twice. The lines blurred together, her thoughts drifting despite her best efforts to focus. Something felt off. She had learned to trust her instincts over the years. And right now, they were screaming at her. Ever since Sheila had vanished from their lives. Again, Hope had known it was only a matter of time before the other shoe dropped. Sheila never stayed gone. She simply regrouped. Liam's voice echoed in her memory, worried and protective. Promise me you'll be careful. Sheila doesn't let things go. Hope exhaled slowly. I didn't do anything wrong, she whispered to herself. I just tried to protect my family. But doubt crept in all the same. Had she pushed Deacon too hard? Had she crossed a line? Hope had never meant to hurt anyone, especially not by interfering in her father's love life. But Sheila wasn't known for nuance or understanding. She was known for revenge. To Sheila, the story was painfully simple. Deacon had chosen Hope over her. He had looked into Sheila's eyes and said he couldn't risk losing his daughter. That Hope meant too much. That Sheila was too dangerous. Dangerous. The word still burned. Sheila slammed her hand against the wall, the sound echoing in the small room. She poisoned him against me, she snarled. She made me the villain in my own love story. And so, in Sheila's mind, Hope Logan wasn't just an obstacle. She was the enemy. Revenge didn't have to be loud. It didn't have to involve blood or sirens or prison bars. Sheila had learned that the most effective revenge was personal, emotional, surgical. She would dismantle Hope's perfect little world piece by piece. And she would start with the thing Hope valued most. Her image. Whispers began to circulate quietly at Forrester Creations. Innocent at first. Questions. Side glances. curious looks that lingered just a second too long. Hope noticed. She felt it in the sudden awkward silences when she entered a room. In the way conversations stopped mid-sentence. In the hushed tones that followed her down the hall. "Is something going on?" Hope asked Steffi one afternoon, her voice carefully neutral. Steffi studied her for a moment before responding. "You tell me." That was all it took for Hope's stomach to drop. Behind the scenes, Sheila had been busy, anonymous tips, carefully planted half-truths, old stories dredged up and reshaped. Sheila knew the fashion world thrived on scandal. All she had to do was nudge. Hope Logan, the wholesome face of hope for the future, suddenly found herself under scrutiny. Her judgment, her motives, her past decisions. And just like that, the target was painted on her back. Deacon sensed it before anyone said a word. He recognized the pattern. The unease. The creeping dread that always preceded one of Sheila's schemes. When he confronted Hope, his eyes were heavy with guilt. "I never wanted this," he told her quietly. "You shouldn't be paying for my mistakes." Hope reached for his hand. "Dad, I don't regret standing up for myself, or for you. If Sheila's doing this, it just proves why you made the right choice." But Deacon wasn't so sure anymore. He knew Sheila's capacity for obsession. And the idea that she believed Hope had played Cupid, that she'd stolen Deacon away, terrified him. "She won't stop," Deacon admitted. "Not until she feels like things are balanced." Hope swallowed hard. Balanced how? Deacon didn't answer. He didn't have to. Sheila watched from afar, savoring every ripple of discomfort, every crack in Hope's carefully curated world. She told herself it was justice. That Hope needed to learn there were consequences for meddling in other people's lives. "She took my future," Sheila whispered to the empty room. "Now she gets to feel what that's like." But even as she plotted, a strange emotion crept in, one Sheila hated almost as much as betrayal. Jealousy. Hope had everything Sheila wanted. Family. Respect. A career built on optimism and second chances. A life where mistakes didn't define you forever. Sheila clenched her jaw. If she couldn't have that life, she would make sure Hope didn't take it for granted. Hope Logan wasn't as fragile as Sheila believed. As the pressure mounted, something inside Hope shifted. She stopped apologizing. Stopped shrinking. She began asking hard questions, demanding transparency, refusing to let rumors dictate her worth. And slowly, people noticed. Liam stood by her side. Brooke defended her fiercely. Even Steffi, skeptical as ever, began to see the familiar fingerprints of Sheila Carter all over the chaos. "This has Sheila written all over it," Steffi said bluntly. "She's coming after you because she can't get to Deacon." Hope's eyes hardened. Then she picked the wrong target. Sheila had expected fear, tears, retreat. What she hadn't expected was resistance. Hope's refusal to crumble only fueled Sheila's obsession. In her mind, it was proof of arrogance, of privilege. Hope didn't understand what it meant to fight for survival. And that made Sheila angrier than ever. But anger had always been Sheila's greatest weakness. As she pushed harder, her carefully constructed narrative began to unravel. Inconsistencies surfaced. Sources questioned. The anonymous whispers grew sloppy. People started asking who benefited most from Hope's downfall. And all roads led back to Sheila. One evening, Hope stood alone on the balcony at the Forrester estate, the city lights twinkling below. She felt changed, stronger, sharper, less naive. Sheila Carter wanted revenge. Fine. Hope had spent her life believing in redemption, in empathy, in giving people the benefit of the doubt. But she had also learned when to draw a line. And Sheila had crossed it. Somewhere in the shadows, Sheila watched the same city lights, convinced she was still in control. Neither woman knew it yet, but they were on a collision course, one that would force Deacon to choose again, expose long-buried truths, and redefine what playing Cupid really meant. Because in the end, This wasn't just about love or betrayal.